You know what time it is? It's almost 1 o'clock. Worm.
What? Crap ain't going nowhere.
It's really loud, probably can't hear this, but we're on the way, finally! We're a little bit behind schedule, but water under the bridge.
Best show of the year.
You in the backyard of your old farm in the summer. Stayed there for 3 weeks where we learned to love each other. Wrote you letters, sent a message to leave that day. Skip to the present, haven't been so happy ever. Sitting in your room, working on my first record. Skip to the present, and it's still.
He gets an A for effort.
Oh, it's a wobble!
Yeah! Get it, Andy! Yeah, hell yeah!
Look at Marcy! Get it, Marcy!
Come on, wobble!
God, this better not end up on YouTube.
Just my thoughts about you bring back my peace of mind. Gypsy lady.
I will probably make it. But, I mean, what does that even mean? Like, does that mean the money? I mean,
Yeah,
We're just now making our bed, like usual. We always wait till the last minute. But we've had a good time, just hanging out. Where did you go? Huh?
Hi.
Haven't released it, but it's okay 'cause the new songs are way better. That's what it feels like, haven't been so happy ever. Watching you sit there with our best friends at the wedding. You in the backyard of your old farm in the summer. Stayed there for 3 weeks where we present. Haven't been so happy ever. Sitting in your room, working on my first record. Skip to the present, and I still haven't released it. But it's okay, cause the new songs are way better. That's what it feels like, haven't been so happy ever.
How's it going, man? I just wanted to check in with you and see how things are going on your side. Yeah, I really think I'm gonna marry this girl. Seems like it's for real this time.
Oh, here they come.
You did get it started. No more bicycle parade. I'm already going too fast. I'm really going the opposite route. One out! Focus on getting it in there, damn it! Because otherwise I'd be overshooting.
So that way they can move it. And then if we needed to move it,
Come on, dance! Come on! Do the wobble!
there was a lot of blues in there. That's what
I can't feel my eyes.
if I don't do it every time.
I can't feel it.
Wasting time.
Hey, how are you guys? Dude, I'm Gatorade all night long. Keeping it safe. Dark Gatorade.
So Port City Volkswagen Show started 4 years ago. I had the Tulsa group. There used to be a club in Tulsa that put on shows and did cruises like a lot of the Volkswagen communities. And they got to the point where they were dropping their club and they were trying to find someone to take over for them. And I've always been into doing stuff like this. I've helped with other organizations putting on shows and events, and I love the challenge. And I thought about having the ability to combine two of my favorite passions. So one of them is the Oklahoma Firefighter Burn Camp, a camp that I've done for 20 years that helps benefit children that have been warned or burnt or disfigured. They're survivors, and we help them. We put on a camp, we let them come. So I worked it as a fundraiser, car show / family event, because there's so many organizations and groups around the Midwest that are clubs and so forth that get together every year and do shows, but they're all about who's got the prettiest car, who's got this, and I just want people to show up and meet new people and enjoy life. And I got into Volkswagens about 7-8 years ago and found out that I love this community. Yeah, you break down the side of the road, there's 5 people who are going to come and help you. You do stuff and people help you. And you know, I started 4 years ago. I had a bunch of people help me. We pulled off in 99 or in 2019. We pulled off our first year. It worked great. 2020 hit with COVID, and we still had a show. We were outdoor in this beautiful park, and it grew and grew. And this year we had right at 200 cars registered in our event from 8 different states. You know, we went through. We just did the pre-numbers. You know, after everything's said and done, we raised almost $10,000 for this camp. And this community of Volkswagens, a lot of people drive by and see a bunch of dirty hippies and old cars that barely run. And to us, they're part of our family. And to see people, you know, I get to see people from Southern Oklahoma, from Arkansas, Texas, Missouri, Kansas that I love. And normally I only get to see them on social media from a distance. And, you know, from a guy that has tight family nets, but there's 5 or 6 in my family. When I come to an event like today and there's 500 people walking around and everyone says hi, everyone hugs me, and it's amazing. It gives me a purpose. And next week I'll take off mentally, but I start working on the one for next year. I want it to be this every year, that these people have this outlet to show up, camp out in these trees for, you know, 2 to 3 days and walk away with a smile. Everyone loves each other. We hug. We may not even know what each other does for a living. We don't know what they did yesterday or nothing about them, but we know that they love people. You know, I can tell you by a vehicle driving down the road who's in it, but I probably can't tell you their real name. You know, I've met them, I love them, everything's great. And this event, the Port City Volkswagen Show in Catoosa, is just, it's that place for me to be me. I've had people tell me for years that they'll see me in a tie-dye shirt or they see me in this old bus and they're like, oh yeah, that's you. And for a long time, I didn't know whether to take it as a compliment or an insult, because I'm different than most of them, but in this group, it's definitely a compliment. When they say it's me and they know who I am and I'm walking through, and it's not because I did something wrong, it's because they truly want to be around me and enjoy my friendship, I'll bust my tail every year to make this happen again. I love it. I love these people. They'll never stop in my mind. Oklahoma Firefighter Burn Camp is a camp that started 22 years ago. It's a camp that's put on for kids 6 to 16 that have been burned or disfigured, and now they're survivors. It's a place for them to get together and be non-judged. We have kids that have got 8 or 10% of their body burnt and have scars on their belly, and no one ever knows it. We have some that are 90% burnt, and their faces are completely scarred. They're missing fingers, they're missing things. And when they walk down the street, people look at them and judge them. When they come to our camp, I always say this, and I don't know how to say it without sounding wrong in my own mind, but I'm the weirdo that people look at because I don't have them. But they don't judge me because that's who they are. These kids have lived with it, some of them since they were infants, 2, 3 years old. We've had everything from kids that have burned in meth labs to car wrecks to they pulled the pot off the pan and burnt themselves with the ramen noodle water. But all these kids that come to this camp have something in common. They've been burnt or they've had a disfigurement that makes them like their brother or sister that's now at camp. And it's a place for them to get together, talk about it with their peers. And once they become 16, they become a junior counselor. And at 17, they become a counselor. Now they're a mentor for one of these younger kids. Now these mentors have been through this. In the past 2 or 3 years, we've had up to 30 adults that are now counselors that were kids that grew up in this. And they get to help these. And I've had the plus of both sides. I've been doing it forever. My 3rd year as being a counselor, my daughter got burned at 6 years old. She stepped into a burn pit in our backyard that was two days old. And the burns wrapped both her feet, 3rd-degree burns, blistered both feet, burned them. And she went to camp. She started going to camp at 6 years old. At 10 years old, she got Camper of the Year. I was ecstatic as a dad. At 17, she became a counselor. At 18, she became Counselor of the Year. And that was better to me than her graduating. It meant so much because she loves like I do. And you see this, and it's so good to see. As a parent, you don't know if you're doing right or wrong with a kid. And you get to see the love in their mind, and you get to see it from a distance. And just like this, I have 2 daughters. They were both out here. My youngest was out here all day, busting her butt, working. They've helped me for the last 3 weeks get everything ready for this show. And there's nobody out here. My kids have always felt comfortable with this family. We go on trips. They never feel like there's something wrong, and they know that everybody would protect them. And that's the same way as the burn camp. They know that they have a family that's not going to go away. If they've got problems at home, they call us. We'll come help them. And we've raised enough money because of events like this. We now give away scholarships to our young adults that are trying to better themselves, going to trade school, going to college. We pass out 4 $10,000 scholarships a year to help these kids better themselves. And we try to be there for their whole life. We want them to know that no matter what happens in their life, they've got somebody they can lean on. Because we roll up and we start coming in a day early, and as soon as I see somebody's bus that I know rolling through the dirt, it's cool. That's a neat car, but I can't wait for them to get out of that car and wrap my arms around them and hug them. You go to a Corvette show or you go to a Mustang show, they're neat. But those people walk up and the first thing they do is they open the hood. They want to look at that engine. They want to see that car, and it's all cool and neat. We don't do that. You do it eventually. You'll see what we did last year, you know. Somebody put a new roof rack, someone got a new motor, someone got new tires. A lot of these guys got different cars they trade and swap. But bottom line, it's about each other. And then I've seen at least 6 different times in the last 48 hours where somebody that don't know somebody else's vehicle is helping them. They're helping them move something. They're helping them with an engine problem. They're helping with anything. And then, you know, today, unfortunately, out of 200 people that were here, we're down to probably 60, 70 people. And I can't tell you how many of them pulled out. And it was like saying goodbye to that brother or sister that you have. And you know that it may be August before the next show, and we might get to see them if everyone comes, but they know at this show that they get to come and not be judged. And even families judge one another, but man, everybody here seems to get along, and the Volkswagen world seems to be that way. No matter how colorful your bus is or how plain your bus is or perfect and pristine, we all have a Volkswagen, and we have that passion for some reason, and that gives us that bond that just happens. You don't know it. I really think that most people are born with it, and then once you finally get that first Volkswagen and you start bonding with these others, you don't want to leave it. I mean, there's no other place, you know, outside of my kids that I want to be besides in Bonnie or driving and rolling up on somebody else. I've sat outside restaurants for 30 minutes because I saw another Volkswagen waiting for them to come out to introduce myself and see who they are, and we talk. And same way as these people, I drive all over to just visit them. Give it a chance. You know, like I've said before in my life, people look at me, and I've always said, if you see my bus rolling and you don't smile, you're having a bad day. That's all there is to it. You come to Port City, you see 200 of us here. of all races, of all ages, sizes, shapes, backgrounds, from millionaires to the dirty hippie living in his bus, swimming down in the river to clean up. We're all here and we'll all embrace you. And when you come in here, 97% of these people have no problem discussing what their bus is and what it is, and you learn that people have stories. Life is about memories. You create them, and here we share them, and you get to share them with the outside world, and then you learn from somebody else's memories, and you smile. And if it jars that one thing, you're having a bad day, and you come down here and you walk up on somebody and they're looking at a bus and you start talking, all of a sudden your life's a little better. It's not about an unfortunate shooting that happened, or it's not about someone passing of some disease, or it's not about anything else. You get to come here and you get to be happy. Once it enters Port City, this little park on the Vertigus River right off of Route 66 in Catoosa, Oklahoma, you walk in this park and you get to leave away. You know, I claim that I'm Peter Pan. I never want to grow up. This is my never land. Thank you. Thank you more than I can possibly say. I love them. I would want any kind of help. You tell me if there's something we need to add, do, whatever. You call me if you need me. And thank you for being here. And thank you for loving the Volkswagens like I do, or you wouldn't be here in the first place. So I love you, and I'll see you next year.